Hi, welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. I'm Joe Alvarez. I apologize about my appearance, but this is what you look like the day after your captain's exam, and also it is No Shave November. Today we're going to talk about roof operations and utilizing saws and how to estimate a cut on a roof. When we go to the roof, you should always have two tools, okay? Mike Champo says it best, 2 hands, 2 tools. If I'm going up to the roof, I should have a saw and a pike pole, a saw and a Halligan tool, multiple tools, because we have a lot of work to do on a roof, and the engine company that's working down below us should not be worried about if we're going to get that roof open or if we forgot something on the ground. First off, we must make sure that this saw runs before we get it to the roof. So on the ground, we must start this. When we go to start it, we must make sure, I'm well aware that on drill nights, we all start our saws, right? I'm also aware that when we go to work, we also make sure the saw starts every shift. We must make sure that our saws are fully serviceable. We don't ever want to go to a fire and we go to use the saw and we have to explain to a chief officer why the tool didn't run. When we go and start the saw, a lot of departments, or a lot of people I should say, like to start the saw by sticking their foot inside the area to keep the saw from rolling over or to jumping out. That's okay, but you have to remember one thing. The trigger is plastic. With our firefighting shoes, we can kick that trigger and break it. Okay, what I'm going to demonstrate here is an easy way to control the saw and not worry about breaking that trigger. I'm going to turn the saw, whether you're lefty or righty. I'm going to kneel down on the saw. It does not matter whichever leg you want to use. I'm going to make sure that the saw is ready to run. As you saw, yes, we did start the saw to make sure it started in the first run. But as you saw, this saw did not trip and run over on us. Again, I'm going to throw my knee on it, grasp the handle, holding tight. Had control of the saw at all times. When you're up on a roof at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're fumbling around and you go and jam your foot in here and you break the trigger, now you're going to be out of luck. Now we're going to have to go back to the conventional way of opening roofs until another saw gets there. That's if you didn't bring your second saw. Every time we go to that roof, we should have a minimum of 2 saws up there with us. Okay, something else I want to bring up. It doesn't matter whether you've cut 100 roofs, whether you're on an engine and you've been detailed to a truck or a squad or a rescue company, and now your function is to go to the roof and open up. I've asked guys that have been on ladder companies for a while, show me what a 4x4 opening is. I've asked guys from engine companies who have never been on a roof, show me what a 4x4 opening is. I usually get the same thing, and it's this big, or I'm going to walk this, or I'm going to take my saw and go 1, 2, and then start my cut. That's all well and good. But I give you the conditions at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or midnight, and there's a lot of smoke, and the boss tells you to cut the hole, and you cut this little teeny hole, which you're most likely embarrassed about after you ended up cutting it. So how do we make sure that we have a proper size opening? The books tell us a minimum of a 4x4 opening. Depending on the size of the fire, the size of the building, how big of the opening. And we also are aware that you start with your 4x4, and we could expand it, as Mike Champo has said in the past with his roof opening classes. But there's also an easy way. Me being a senior guy, I'm going to come up to the roof with my company, and if I'm telling my guys to open a roof, everybody better have a tool in their hand, whether they're Halligans, axes, pike poles, and so on. We need to make sure that that hole is properly opened. Well, how do we do that? Very simple. I'm holding a 6-foot pike pole, a hook, whatever you want to call it, in my hand. As the boss, if I throw this 6-foot hook down, everybody agrees with me, this is a 4x8 sheet of plywood. So this is definitely 4 feet. But on a flat roof, we cannot judge that. This 6-foot hook, if I take my saw now, and I drop this for the young guy, or even the veteran guy, and say, here, I need a hole cut, and this is where I want it cut, That individual now could take his saw, start, and I've guaranteed now a 6x. If I shortened it up a little bit, I'm going to get my 4x4 opening. Things to keep in the back of your mind. Say the pike pole is being used to open natural vent points in a roof, and the only thing you have is a Halligan tool. You drop your Halligan tool down on a roof, and our Halligan tool is what? About 3 feet. Knowing your saw, we have a 12-inch blade. If I take that 3 foot and I start prior to, and I go past it, I have now guaranteed a 4x4 opening for my company inside. It works like a charm. A lot of people don't realize, use the tools that you have to your advantage. This is your measuring stick. Use the tools as a measuring stick, and you'll look like a professional every single time. You'll have companies come up there afterwards and go, somebody opened these roofs, and they obviously knew what they were doing. They're not even going to know that you used your equipment to measure the hole for you. I hope everybody got a little bit out of this. It's just little techniques that I picked up. It's not saying that this is the way you have to do things. It's just another method. Thank you for watching Training Minutes. I'm Joe Alvarez.